This is a nothing. Yes, did they play perfect? No, they still win. Yes.
What are you doing if the Celtics win the championship?
If the Celtics win championship, I might break my sobriety. I might act up.
We did it! You got him.
All the way.
Celtics versus Heat. Celtics in what?
4.
Celtics versus Knicks. Celtics in
4.
You got Celtics in 4?
Celtics.
Hell yeah.
Use a vocab word from a couple years ago. It's mind-boggling.
That's it, GRG. Let's go. What do you think tonight? You think I'm worried about the Warriors? I ain't worried about the Let's go, baby. 18, baby. Load up the boat.
Why would you say that?
Because
I'm not. No,
recently he's putting up games like
above our head for the players.
literally right now.
But I think when Marcus, especially Marcus, when he got traded, I think that was a wake-up call.
You think right now
Rob,
it's still New York?
I do.
And when I think of the Celtics dynasty, honestly, one of the first names that comes to my mind is actually Brad Stevens.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me tonight, am I pointing the right way here? Justin Lowe. I know I'm reflected, so I got to keep that in mind. I'm pointing the right way. On my end, it's the wrong way, but for everybody else, I'm pointing the right way this time. Justin Lowe alongside of me tonight as the Boston Celtics write a terrible chapter in the rivaled history between the Los Angeles Lakers tonight, falling by 21 points in Los Angeles on the second night of a back-to-back, 117-96 against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Celtics looked like their inconsistency problems, they were sticking around a little bit for this team last night against the Clippers, and it all came to fruition tonight in just a horrendous loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. At no point in time was this game close whatsoever. The Celtics had a chance to come back in the third quarter, only allowed 16 points in the third. However, only scored 20 points in the third quarter themselves. And the Los Angeles Lakers, it was a no-doubter. They ran away with it in the fourth quarter, and that's all she wrote. But Justin, as you know, we do here. Initial thoughts on whatever performance this was. Ugh.
Well, the Celtics were running in the mud essentially from the tip, and I remember you and I were texting throughout the game pretty frequently. I felt that vibe that this was going to be a play from behind type game. And I said that in the first quarter, and that's exactly what it was tonight. And then when Boston was able to kind of, cut it down to about 12 points, 10, 12 points, LA just had no problem at putting it right back up there. Boston had a key opportunity to cut it down to single digits in that third quarter. A missed open layup from Drew Holiday and 2 pairs of missed free throws from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Your 2 franchise players, your 2 best players, your 2 superstars, your 2 all-stars, the 2 that you need during Rivals Week on national TV against LeBron James and Anthony Davis, went 0 for 4 at the free throw line, a chance to cut it 2 single digits. That didn't happen. That was just the kind of night it was for the Boston Celtics. Yes, second night of a back-to-back, but at the same time, that's not an excuse for a championship-level team whatsoever. Not only a championship-level team, but this exact same team this season, I mentioned this to you before we hit play, this is a Celtics team who was previously undefeated on second nights of back-to-backs on the road. Previously 5-0, now 5-1. Celtics ran in the mud all night long, couldn't catch up. Lakers pulled ahead, and they didn't look back.
Yeah, this performance by the Boston Celtics just highlighted the entire inconsistent stretch we've seen out of the team. And first of all, let's let the viewers know here, Justin, you're going through a flu game right now. Maybe don't have the flu, but you're going through a little bit of a flu game. Kind of sound like Stan Van Gundy on the broadcast tonight. Kind of sound like PJ Carlissimo.
That's great. That's great.
You kind of have that vibe going. You're the old head coach. You kind of more experienced. But that's the raspy head coaches in the practices. That's what it sounds like.
I'm showing up tonight. Something that the Celtics did not do tonight is show up in Los Angeles, a 21-point loss, Seamus. And we were going through it in the group chat trying to figure out, is this the Celtics' worst loss of the season? That's what we were kind of thinking. I don't think so, but I would definitely say it's up there because I'll tell you, especially during this stretch. Yes, the Celtics are I believe 10-9 in their last 19 games now. Seamus, a lot of those losses aren't such blowout 20-point, 30-point losses. They're close games, and maybe you see that OKC game. Go back to that second half of the OKC game, a 13-point loss.
Raptors game. Uh-oh. The mic cut out here. Oh no, we got you back. We got you back.
You got me back in full
Now
audio.
No, you're not. Now you're in Bikini Bottom, or you're in a fishbowl.
All right, we'll just keep going.
Oh no, we're good. We're good.
We're working through it. But
That's
I mean,
not Justin's
the
voice.
point is,
that's the mic.
No, this is not me. This was an uncharacteristic loss for the Celtics in terms of you don't see them ever lose by 20 or more points. It's very rare that the Celtics get mollywopped and waxed off the court. Tonight, that was the case.
Well, the defensive end for the Boston Celtics was the biggest thing that stood out for me in this game. It was, LeBron James. This is the Celtics' first matchup against LeBron as a 40-year-old. And remember that tweet from 2015? When is this effery going to be over? I know that clip came out earlier. We're swearing on the broadcast. We don't do that too much anymore. Maybe it's the right occasion to do so. But at the same time, LeBron James, he's 40 in this matchup for the first time against the Boston Celtics. And it looks like he's 25. He's taking Luke Cornett. He's taking Sam Hauser down to the rim, hitting step-back fadeaways, turnaround jump shots, and just going straight to the rim, whether it's cutting or really finding the open lane on a drive. And the Celtics defense said last game it looked like Swiss cheese. The Swiss cheese tonight it seemed like a big bite was taken out of the middle. That's what it looked like for the Boston Celtics on the defensive end of the floor. And then offensively, the team was just the whole game. Really, they started out okay. Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis specifically was taking on the load early, and they were being aggressive, going towards the rim, getting down inside the paint. But really, after them, the offense just looked hectic the entirety of the game. It felt like the Celtics, once they went down double digits, it was, let's chuck up more threes. Let's not run our offense. Let's try to shoot essentially as soon as possible, as soon as we see even a little bit of daylight. And it really didn't look like the Celtics played their game of basketball whatsoever. It didn't look like they played their pace of basketball whatsoever. They didn't dictate the pace of this game at all. The Lakers had all of the dictation of pace in this one. You even see that in the transition points tonight. The Lakers just whooped the Celtics in transition. And from all aspects, this game was just terrible for the Boston Celtics. And in terms of it being one of the worst losses of the season, it has to be up there. Well, for one, it's a rivalry game for the Celtics. Everybody comes into this game thinking Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Lakers.
Right.
There's big montages all over the place, whether you're on social media, on the broadcast, wherever, and also in the locker room. That has to be something, it has to be said within the locker room that this type of matchup, it's historic in terms of NBA terms. When a player is a part of this matchup, they're a part of something special. And the way the Celtics came out tonight, you didn't feel that whatsoever. There was none of that. The Celtics, this is a game that they have to come out and put real effort into. And the last two games, after apparently the Celtics care more about the Warriors game or the Warriors matchup than they do the Lakers matchup, because the Warriors game on Monday was phenomenal for the Boston Celtics, both from a defensive standpoint and an offensive standpoint. Yet the last two games in Los Angeles, the Celtics go down to LA. What are they doing? Are they going on Jimmy Kimmel Live? Is Tatum going to appear on Jimmy Kimmel Live, or is he going to appear on more commercials now? What have they been doing the last 2 days? Because it certainly feels like the Celtics have been really chilling out a lot more in LA at this point in the year than really playing good basketball, because this was a great opportunity. And I guess we have to pick on Rob now too, because he said guaranteed we win both games in LA, and we were nowhere close to that tonight. We're 500 on guarantees, by the way, this year. So we're on the same pace as the Boston Celtics in terms of win losses on our guarantees. But the Celtics in Los Angeles, this was an opportunity to really turn this ship around at the end of January and go into All-Star break strong. There's still time to do that. But at the same time, this stretch, the last two games, even last night, Celtics play overtime when they didn't have to. They played down to a lesser Clippers team by all means when that should have been an opportunity. The Celtics come out, execute, run all of their sets to a T on both ends of the floor, whether you're talking offensively, running your sets to a T, or defensively, just locking in. Of course, we saw Jaden Springer do that. We didn't see the rest of the team do that whatsoever. And that should have been a game the Celtics come out and win easily, sit in the fourth quarter, and then prepare for this game. Doesn't happen. They go to overtime. You come into tonight, Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis are the only two players bringing anything to the Celtics early on. And then throughout the game, I thought what we saw too was a lack of adjustment by Joe Mazzulla. Let's bring this up. Where was Jaden Springer tonight? I mean, he's going to get an award out of us. Don't get me wrong. But Jaden Springer, he changed the entire trajectory of last night's game in Los Angeles against the Clippers. Yet tonight in the same exact city, 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, Jaden Springer doesn't see the floor until the fourth quarter in a game where the Celtics cannot get anything going whatsoever. That is just, it's confusing, it's confuddling, it's mind-boggling, if we want to throw out that term. Joe Mazzulla, the lack of adjustments in this game was very stark to me, and it just highlighted an overall bad performance from the Boston Celtics. And this is the definition of insanity. When are we going to stop talking about the Boston Celtics going back and forth? I mean, we cannot, if they go out this next game against the Dallas Mavericks and whoop the Mavericks on Sunday, highly motivated from the NBA Finals last year, we can't give them that much praise. We just can't. We can't at this point.
It's very hard, and you know, I'm not comparing us to the Atlanta Hawks, but the Atlanta Hawks, you know, is a team that beat us twice this year. But what have they been known for the last maybe at least 3 years is mediocrity, and that's exactly what the Boston Celtics have been at best. At best, the Celtics have been mediocre and quite confusing because we talk about, well, do they know how to turn on the switch? Do they know when to turn it on and off? All this and that, a 40-point win, a 27-point win. Then you go in and you're running in the mud. You beat the Clippers. You walk out of that game. That's probably a game you lose during the stretch. And then you come out to this Lakers team and you just get absolutely obliterated. Maybe not by 40 points, but the way we played tonight. And you do have to, and you know, Joe's been solid for sure. I'm not really one. If you guys know me, I'm not really one to jump on Joe first, and I'm not going to do that tonight. But I will agree with Seamus and say, when it came to the rotation tonight, a little bit confused. Raised an eyebrow. How do you do it, Seamus? There we go. They raised an eyebrow tonight on how the rotations were used because the Celtics were running in the mud against a lesser opponent last night, and you made a change, and it worked out for the better. Now you're playing a significantly better team less than 24 hours later, and you're running in the mud again, and there's no significant change made. In fact, you know me, who usually gets the flowers of this segment of this show. It's usually Luke Cornett, my guy, but you had Luke Cornett guarding LeBron James for most of the night. When was that? Why didn't that change? What was that? What was that doing? When do you make an adjustment? When do you change that? Because it wasn't working any night. And then when it wasn't Cornette guarding him, it was Sam Hauser guarding him off the switch. When do you stop that? Right? So tonight was just not a good game all around for the players, for the coaching staff. It just was an ugly, ugly game for the Boston Celtics. I would say, thankfully, it was a 10 p.m. game, but I mean, Celtics versus Lakers, any basketball fan knows that this is one of the most storied rivalries, not only in the sport, but in sports in general, not just basketball. So this is a very entertaining matchup. Usually tonight, it was entertaining if you were a Laker fan, and for us Celtics fans, we were more entertained with the last 5 minutes. The game was all but over, but we got to see the guys. We got to see the main Celtics go in there and put some effort in, and we got up to 96 points because without those guys, hell, I think we'd be in the 70s for Christ's sakes tonight. I mean, the Celtics were just flat tonight. They were absolutely flat on both ends of the floor. No energy was brought until the last 5 minutes, and by then it was too little too late.
I'm tired of coming on here and covering a Celtics loss versus the Lakers. I mean, it was Christmas the last time we beat the Lakers, it was 2023 Christmas. It's 2025 now, everybody. But the last two matchups, there's no LeBron and AD last year against the Boston Celtics at the Garden. Austin Reeves pieces up the team. The team can't show up defensively.
That was
And then
awful.
tonight, again, the team doesn't show up defensively. Offensively, it's a complete mess. And really, the lack of adjustments, I think that's one of the biggest stories here for the game is the fact last night, seriously, how do you have a player like Jaden Springer affect the game how he did last night?
Right.
Especially defensively. Because tonight, defense was one of the biggest points of terribleness for the Boston Celtics. It was. Defensively, the Lakers, they outside of the third quarter when the Celtics allowed 16 points, the Lakers were putting up nearly 30 points a quarter and doing it quite easily. And in the first quarter, the Lakers came out and they shot the three ball prolifically and efficiently. They started 11 of 18 from the floor. And as you already mentioned, the switches onto LeBron James.
Yeah.
When LeBron James got those switches, it was barbecue chicken alert all night long. It was. I have Sam Hauser in front of me. Oh, I have Luke Cornett in front of me. Yeah. I'm taking him to the rim. I'm gonna take a sidestep fadeaway on him. I'm gonna do a fallback fadeaway on Sam Hauser because he doesn't have enough length or athleticism to get to the shot. And it was terrible. LeBron, the turnaround jump shots, nobody in the NBA can really defend him all that well, but especially when you have some of the defenders we had out there on LeBron James, on the Celtics, it was confusing as to why Jaden Springer, who we went through a breakdown, which I just realized it's actually not been released yet. We'll have it released later for you guys on YouTube. But we'll see in that breakdown that Jaden Springer, the defensive prowess from Jaden Springer last night was phenomenal, and it really raises questions as to why he's not playing a lot more in the Boston Celtics rotation. We're not asking for 30 minutes a game. We're not asking for 20 minutes a game. We're asking for spot minutes here and there where he can bring the team along, provide a spark, and really take away minutes from some other players like Horford, like Porzingis, like Holiday, who we saw last night all essentially rest. I know they were on the injury report, but let's face it, they were resting against the Los Angeles Clippers. Those are the players you want to preserve for the playoffs. A player like Jaden Springer can take away minutes from those players, come in and provide a spark, especially on the defensive end of the floor, when the Celtics, they had nothing defensively tonight. They were getting killed on switches. And I don't care about Jaden Springer's offense at this point in time because really after last night's game, after he hit that big corner three against the Los Angeles Clippers with James Harden and Norman Powell chirping in his ear right here, I mean, Jaden Springer, that's a point in time. Tonight is a point in time where you look at the matchup, you look at how terrible the Celtics are playing. If you're Joe Mazzulla on the sideline, why not bring in Jaden Springer and uplift his confidence, especially offensively? Because last night he was fine at the end of the game. He was, of course, 2 of 6. We saw one of those was a heave, so he's really 2 of 5, and he hit 2 big threes in that game late in the fourth quarter and overtime. And even tonight, we're gonna highlight him in a second here a little bit, but he was the leading scorer off the bench. He only played 8 minutes tonight? 8 minutes at the end of the game. Leading scorer. So you can see that confidence in Jaden Springer. When you have a game like that, you save an entire game for the Celtics like he does last night. Why not give him more opportunity now to continuously uplift that confidence? Instead, there's no adjustment made. I understand you want to go to your best players in this matchup against the LA Lakers.
It's understandable.
But when your best players at some point in time are not producing, like we saw early on in this game, I mean, they're not producing on multiple levels. Offensively, it looked hectic. There was a lot of shot chucking. The Celtics were out-rebounded in this game, which we just talked about the entirety of the season, how the Celtics continuously, they are out-rebounded all the time. They weren't forcing turnovers at all. And the defensive effort from that not being able to force turnovers, allowing points in transition, the effort was terrible. So it was terrible from so many aspects in this game. And when you look at that, if you're Joe Mazzulla, why are you not making an adjustment sooner rather than later? Because later in the game, we saw the main Celtics come into play. We saw Walsh. We saw Shireman. we saw Kata come into the game and Springer, and then of course Pritchard was still out there at the end of the game, which made just no sense whatsoever. I don't understand why
You're just
Joe Mas-
ticking
I don't
me
know.
off.
I guess Pritchard just asked to be in at the end of the game, asked to be in. He's in those situations. He goes, "Keep me in, Joe. I want to get a run
Put
in. I'm
Tillman
a
in.
pure hooper." But Peyton Pritchard was awful tonight, and the other four main Celtics out there. I mean, for real, if they came in the third quarter, I think we would have had more confidence in terms of winning this game because when they came into the game, first Sam Hauser decided to start showing up late in the fourth quarter, and Reggie
Right.
Miller was going, "Oh, a couple threes, you never know." And I'm looking at the score going, "Yeah, you never know," but
No,
we're still down 21
no,
points with
no,
7 minutes left.
no. Jordan Wall
And
sitting at the scorer's table. No way, dude. You knew. It's like, no, we know. We know it. We know it's over. We know it's over. But you know what?
no, yeah, exactly.
To go off your point about excuse me, to go off your point about Joe Mazzulla's rotation tonight and the lack of Jaden Springer, essentially when it mattered most, rather than the final 8 minutes of
Yeah.
this game, the perimeter was the big issue tonight for the Los Angeles Lakers. They had 15 made threes on 35 attempts. That's 43% from the floor. Gabe Vincent, 4 of 7. Celtics fans, guess what? We've seen that before. Deja vu. Huh? I was blasting Olivia Rodrigo on my vinyl here, playing Deja Vu the entire second half when Gabe Vincent, every three-pointer, just putting the Celtics down deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. We've seen that before. Rookie Dalton Connect, who has had a spectacular year for the purple and gold, 3 of 4 tonight from distance. Rui Hachimura bombs away, 2 of 5 tonight from distance. Max Christie, 2 of 6 from distance. And then Austin Reeves, 50%, 4 of 8 from deep. We saw a lot of that in Beantown last year, Seamus, as you mentioned earlier, when Austin Reeves was letting it fire away from downtown. So all night from the perimeter. And guys, that wasn't even LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Those guys were combined 0 of 3 from behind the arc. It's not like their best players were the ones shooting the three ball. No, a lot of role players shooting the three and making the three, doing their job for the Los Angeles Lakers. They had incredible floor spacing tonight, incredible offense. Look, I know that this is our all-time rival. We're supposed to hate them, but you have to give credit where credit is due. The Los Angeles Lakers played a phenomenal basketball game tonight, and the Boston Celtics made no adjustments as this game went along. You figure first quarter kind of settling in, okay, Lakers are going to cool down. No, Lakers didn't cool down. Lakers kept taking those looks, and they were making those looks. Celtics never adjusted, whether it was rotations, whether it was whatever the game plan. Nothing changed for the Boston Celtics tonight, and that's why they lost by 20-plus points. And Jaden Springer, one of the better perimeter players in the association, locking up Steph Curry, Luka Doncic last year, LeBron James last year. Philly fans were irate when they found out that he was being traded, let alone being traded to Boston, their division rival. And we have Jaden Springer comes out last night, easily has his best game as a Celtic, one of his best games of his career, and he gets nearly a DNP tonight in a game where you need that change. You need that energy. You need that perimeter defense. And I didn't get to speak on the Clippers game last night because he was actually the player spotlight, and he was also the winner of the flowers. Like you said, who's player spotlight, who's a flower? It was Jaden Springer. And you know what? You said it best when you were going over his graphic. If you didn't watch the game and you looked at the stat sheet, you'd be like, what the hell are you guys talking about? But Jaden Springer impacted that game. Had Jaden Springer, and here's the thing. It's like, why, how dare I even say this, because of how depleted that Los Angeles Clippers roster was last night. Had Jaden Springer not checked in the game in that late in that third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, Celtics would not have won that game last night. Can you believe that I'm saying that? The Boston Celtics needed Jaden Springer to close out a game against the Los Angeles Clippers, who were missing Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell, James Harden, Ivica Zubac, PJ Tucker. I mean, they were missing Chris Dunn. They were missing every rotational player possible. And the Celtics needed Jaden Springer. And tonight, the Celtics needed Jaden Springer earlier. They didn't go to him. They went to him late. And by then, he was playing great, but it was too little too late. And the Celtics lost this one, and they let it get away from them. And, I get it. I get it. And people are going to say, well, Jaden Springer, you don't know how much you can. That just doesn't happen. That's just Jaden Springer. That is what Jaden Springer does. That is who Jaden Springer is. And that's why the Celtics brought Jaden Springer on. Everybody's going to get their opportunities this season, and we've seen longer opportunities. Earlier in this season, we saw, and this is no shade on any other Celtics player. If I'm about to name drop, this is no shade towards him. We saw Drew Peterson check into that Cleveland game. Terrific in that Cleveland game. Terrific. But compared to what Springer brought, was he worthy of another chance compared to Springer? Maybe not. But what happened? Drew Peterson gets called up again for Maine, and he plays in that Detroit game, and he plays in another game, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, he's played like 3 games in a row, and he's not really giving you what Jaden Springer gives you. Jaden Springer wins you the ball game last night, and what happens? You almost get a DNP, right? So I would have loved to see Springer earlier. I'm not saying we would have won this game. What I am saying is I think it would have made this Los Angeles Lakers slow down a little bit. I don't think their perimeter shooting would have that puts a lot of pressure on this Lakers team. And I wish they went to him earlier because he had a terrific second half of that fourth quarter tonight when he got inserted in this game.
Well, let's actually bring up your flowers real quick here, since we're on the topic right now of Jaden Springer. Right. We'll bring up everything else later on in time, because everything else we're going to continue to harp on this game as post game goes along. But tonight, your flowers, of course, goes to Jaden Springer. Yeah. 10 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, and he does it all in 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. 8 minutes, 10 points. I mean, without Jaden Springer's 10 points, we're talking about 86 points for the Boston Celtics. And we're really just spurring this off of your point about Jaden Springer here on the fact of, I mean, we really should have seen him earlier. We should have seen him earlier in this game, not the fourth quarter, not when the game was already decided, because when the game was already decided, he actually came in and made somewhat of an impact. If Jaden Springer doesn't play in this game, the Celtics potentially lose by 30. Instead, it's only a 21-point loss, which is really not saying anything for the Celtics because it's a loss is a loss. But he played well late, both defensively and even on the offensive end of the floor. 10 points. I mean, when you're seeing 10 points out of a role player like this on his shooting lines, 4 of 5, 2 of 2 from 3, I mean, that's efficient work, especially in 8 minutes. So, of course, your flowers tonight going to Jaden Springer, of course, and it really just builds off the point of he needed to be seen earlier in this game, because if you can win flowers in 8 minutes in a blowout at the end of the match, you should be seen earlier. You should be seen at least in the second quarter, maybe even in the first quarter when things were going awry. I mean, come on. This Celtics team, what's even annoying about the non-adjustment, it's not like there's a history of the Celtics team playing well as of late. There really isn't.
Right.
Yeah, in the past, winning the title last year, but as of late, Joe should have essentially, right when he saw, oh, we don't have it tonight. We also, see, this is where Joe Mazzulla can't act dumb in his press conferences. He can't anymore. He's a smart guy, all right? He's a smart guy. Joe Mazzulla's smart. If the fan base can see it and we're texting back and forth about it, this team doesn't have it tonight, you're texting me, we're going to be playing from behind. And it's like, it's been over since we went down double digits. It's over. I'm pretty sure Joe Mazzulla can see that too. I'm pretty sure he sees the trends. I'm fairly certain Joe Mazzulla has enough of a brain on the sideline as the head coach to go, I've seen this book play out before. I'm going to go and write something different here. And instead, we don't see something different. And we see the same thing transpire, what we've seen this entire month and even in December as well. And that is, sticking with the same lineup, sticking with what hasn't worked in the first quarter, the second quarter for the entirety of the game. And the most annoying thing about this team right now is the I shouldn't say the most. There's many annoying things about this team right now, but one of them is the fact when you have a spark plug player like Jaden Springer potentially off the bench, play him, play him during
Right.
these stretches. The rest of the team isn't giving effort. Why not bring in a guy
Well,
who is?
that's what I was saying. Excuse me. Oh my god. That's what I was saying with how I was ticked off about towards the end of the game, Peyton Pritchard taking all the shots and kind of ball hogging the ball. It's like, dude, you weren't playing well today when you had your minutes. You didn't put the effort in when you had your minutes. Let these guys ball. Let them have their shot. And I wish their shot came much earlier because I thought that fourth quarter, late in that fourth quarter, because to start the fourth quarter, the Celtics gave up a 14-2 run. All of a sudden, they shaved 4 points off that halftime lead. You're looking, instead of going down by 19, you kind of made a little bit of ground, a couple possessions ground, which in a blowout, any ground really counts. And then you figure, okay, you were +4 in that third quarter. Let's see what we can do here in the first few minutes of the fourth. And the Celtics just laid down in that fourth quarter to start. And that's demoralizing. That is really, really, really demoralizing. And when those guys don't have it going, it's like, when do you just pull your wild card? When do you just say, you know what? I know these guys are our best 5 right now on the court, but tonight they just don't have it. Hey, Jordan, in for whatever. Drew, hey, Jaden, in for whatever. It's like, when do you just, and guess what? If it doesn't work, nobody's gonna get mad at you, Joe, because the guy that's like, we want you to do that. I know he's like, oh, I'm not listening to these two goons.
What are you talking
One
about?
sounds like
It's in the locker room right now. We're on the little TVs on the side
PJ.
walls.
Well,
right
they
now.
said they told you I was Stan Van Gundy, so I'm just trying to be my coach, just trying to be the coach. Call me Van Gundy earlier. But in all seriousness, it's like, when do you just straight up say, okay, this guy doesn't have it tonight, we're accepting it, let's go a different route right now. And if that doesn't work, worst comes to worst, throw the other guy back in, or guess what, you tried, you just don't have it tonight. That's just tonight. It is, right? These guys are all NBA players, these guys. And I love your point. I love your point you said the other night. At some point in these guys' careers, they were the best player on their respective teams, whether that was high school, whether that was college, whether it was G League. You mentioned Summer League. It put a big smile on my face when you mentioned Summer
Shout
League.
out Summer League.
But like, it's just, and Jaden Springer didn't need Summer League this year, baby. And when they didn't play him in the Summer League, I thought he was going to get all the preseason minutes. He didn't get any preseason minutes. And I was like, okay, maybe they're saving him for regular season. He really didn't get minutes in the regular season until last night. But I'd love to see Joe dig into the bench. And I get it. We shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to be relying on these bench guys, because I've said it so many times with the starters, and they need energy and all this. And I'll be honest with you, tonight, Jason, Jalen, and Kristaps was your players.
Uh-oh. We got a mic issue. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps muting. It mutes on purpose. But I mean, those three, for the most part, those guys were the only ones to show up tonight for a significant amount of this game. Chris and Brown all had double-figure points. There was a point in this game, I think it was the start of the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was the fourth quarter, where there wasn't a player outside of those three players who didn't have more than 3 points. 3 points, Seamus. I think I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like that before. It was like a game of 2K. I think I screenshot it and sent that to you, because that is so utterly ridiculous. I've never seen a box score like that before. So I would have loved to see the Celtics dig into the bench a little bit earlier, because you get that energy, it's produced, and who knows, all of a sudden, once you see one of those bench players start rolling, you're rocking with them, and you're feeling really good about him, and you're feeling really good about yourself, and all of a sudden that opens up the game, and you're right back in the ball game.
Yeah, and this game, ultimately, the whole way through, it's just really looking big picture here for the Boston Celtics. I mean, what do we even what do you even think about this team moving ahead? Because we've run out of excuses. I mean, really, we didn't start with any excuses with this team. You specifically when we lost to the Kings earlier this month. But
Why would I say?
what do we even say about this team moving forward? Because this was a championship team last year. They won the title. It's clear. You know, look what's behind me right now. What now? What exactly is going to happen now? Because moving forward, I mean, Ian texted in our group chat that, oh, this team needs the All-Star break, but I would almost say that they don't need the All-Star break. They need to be playing well. They need to be playing more games to play well. I mean, what's gonna do them in? What's gonna do the Celtics some good is hanging out in Cancun for a week. I mean,
No
they
way.
can't do anything right now. What are they gonna go to Cancun and come back and somehow be a good basketball team? I mean, right now the inconsistency of this ball club is out there for everybody to see. I mean, you even hear it on the. This is what's getting. I don't want to say scary about this ball club, but we'll put that term on it. Scary, concerning is that other coaches, other teams, the national media is starting to see it with this ball club. Kevin Harlan mentioned, "Oh, is it the effort with the Boston Celtics tonight?" And when you have national TV announcers and other coaches like Steve Kerr the other day, which I know everybody thinks whatever about Steve Kerr, but he was saying, "Oh, the Celtics they're going through something completely natural." Blah. When other coaches and national media analysts, announcers, commentators, whoever it is, start commentating and start answering questions about the Celtics struggles, about the Celtics being 500 for over a month now. It's starting to get a little concerning. It's starting to get a little scary because this is going to start to be the narrative upon this team. Outsiders who are real far away outsiders, they'll still believe, oh, they look at some of the numbers. Oh, we're still top 10 in offensive rating, defensive rating, blah, 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 what, and whatnot. We're still a championship level squad, but the way the Celtics are playing right now, how do you win a 7-game series if you can't win 2 games in a row? I mean, literally, we just won 2 games in a row. We had to do it in overtime for nearly the first time in a month. We did it for the first time in 3 weeks, playing a game nearly every other day, and we were winning and losing every other day. And from that, it's I don't even know how to analyze what this team needs to do anymore, other than potentially change up some of the rotations. I'm not suggesting. I think we were both on the point of not changing the starting lineup up necessarily, but you got to change something up. Like last night, I think without Jaden Springer, that would have been a loss. These could have been 2 straight losses. You got to start doing something like that if you're Joe Mazzulla more often, I'll say, that's for sure. But outside of that, this team just needs to be playing better in every aspect of the game. And we're really just a broken record on this at this point of when are we going to see this? Guys are definitely frustrated after this loss. They've been frustrated after losses before. But what exactly needs to happen, and when are we going to see that happen? We're out of excuses for this Boston Celtics team. We're at the precipice. I mean, is this rock bottom? And we're talking about, the rock bottom the other day against the Raptors. But I mean, right now, when you're just descending further down into 500 basketball, where does this team go other than needing to break out a winning streak? And where do we even see that on the horizon? We can't even trust them after a blowout win to go out the next game and play well. I mean, we literally just saw it. Oh, Magic. Great win. Up, and we lose to the Hawks, fumble the details down the stretch, and score 15 points in the second quarter in that game after coming out hot. And then, we blow out the Warriors. Great. Okay, 2 out of the last 3 are blowouts. Cool. And then you come out last night and you go and horrendously play overtime against a lesser Clippers team. And now tonight, a 21-point loss in a rivalry game. And these rivalry games are just different. They're just different. I don't know how, no matter what the circumstances. I mean, Horford, Porzingis, Holiday, that's especially why you can't give they play back-to-back. Well, 3 starters, or I should say 2 starters, and Horford off the bench. 1 prominent bench player and 2 starters didn't even play last night. And this is a rivalry game. And how do the Celtics not wake up for this? I mean, we're at I don't want to say we're at an impossible point with this team, but it is just getting hard to analyze what exactly needs to happen and when it's actually going to happen. And the excuses have ran out.
I hate being. Oh man. First of all, no, it's not rock bottom. I think it could be rock bottom to our standards, and what our expectations are, and what we want, and what we expected. But I don't think it's rock bottom. I don't think mediocre basketball is rock bottom. Maybe I can see the argument for a team that's coming off a championship and is supposed to be this, run through the league for the second straight year, 60 plus wins. I get it. But I don't think this is rock bottom. Again, my definition of rock bottom is much more significant than this. I will say, also, to your other point, it's really hard to pinpoint this team because of how mediocre this team has been. And now there are consistent issues that rely within this team throughout this past, I'd say, we've been saying month. I'd say now month and a half. I mean, the time is ticking here. 10-9 in our last 19 games. You're playing almost 20 games of 500 basketball. That is not good. That is not good. That is mediocre, and I don't like mediocre. I hated being in the play-in, and that's if you're in the play-in, you're mediocre. You're not good enough to win a playoff series. You're not bad enough to get a good lottery pick. And I guess what? I'm not going if we're not going to tank for Cooper Flag, we're going for banner 19. So we better get out of this mediocre stage. But the whole rock bottom stuff, I don't know. I don't buy it. I'm still Seamus. Maybe I'm being too optimistic with this team. Maybe I'm being too lenient with this team, but I'm still on the not pressing the panic button, but more confused button. There's three buttons on my desk. There's a guarantee button.
There's pressed that a lot lately.
There's a guarantee button. There's a come on, help me with the buttons, damn it.
You have a confused button and a panic
confused button and a panic button.
Yeah.
And I'm not pressing the panic button. I am firmly on the confused button. And that is because of how mediocre we are, especially in this last week. We come out, toss the Orlando Magic around. Yeah, okay, that's a really good win. Orlando, this is a team where not only at the time they were a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference, they've slipped since, but this is an Orlando team who has given us significant issues these past 2 years. Get a really good win at home. You're feeling pretty good. Derek White, pocket full of threes. Then you go out to Golden State, and then you go to Atlanta. I was at that game. You're feeling pretty good in that first quarter. You're like, okay, we just had a 27-point blowout. We're up by 12. And then you just see the smile slowly in the second quarter go away. And then you're sitting there at halftime, and you're like, I remember looking over. I brought my girlfriend's grandmother to the game, and we're sitting there in the third quarter. And I'm like, we are so screwed. And she said, oh, don't be negative. I'm like, no, we are seriously so screwed. And didn't the Celtics just absolutely blow it? And it's like that game specifically, because I wasn't on that post-game show. That game, I'm not freaking out over that game as much as everybody else was. I'm really not, because those issues were fundamental issues, and those issues the Celtics won't struggle with. I really don't. The Celtics won't struggle with those issues come playoff time. I don't care what shape they're in. They're not. A lot of the issues that they made were common sense issues. Cough, Drew Holiday. I don't know what's been going on with him. And I'm going to be honest with you, even Reggie Miller, you just mentioned, it's pretty bad when national media starts noticing the decline. They notice that Drew Holiday tonight was playing horrendously. And they even said, I don't think he is healthy whatsoever. He came in the last night, questionable, got downgraded to out. Played tonight, didn't look good at all tonight. But it was a lot of character issues for the Celtics down the stretch in Atlanta. And then I mean, come on. Then you blow out the Warriors by 40. Who doesn't feel good after a 40-point win? Like you just wipe your shoulders off, and you're just Steph Curry. The Warriors just kicked us out of the finals a couple of years prior. That it's a feel good win, and that's what I don't get. And then you come out and you dog it against the Clippers, who are severely undermanned. I look at the injury reports. I told you guys this the other day in the postgame. I look at the injury reports. I don't look at ours anymore because, quite frankly, ours fully healthy is our biggest demon right now. We're pretty good when the step-up guys have to come in. But, oh, my goodness, if that injury report is long on the other team, good luck. Good luck for the Boston Celtics trying to win that game because they just – I don't know what they do, Seamus. And this has been a problem even last year. If there was an issue about last year's team and the year before that team – it was they lay down when star players are out. If you want to go back to that 2023 conference finals run, Joel Embiid out. What did the Celtics do? They lost. Trae Young out. What did the Celtics do? Celtics lost. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is at all with the Celtics, but it's been very confusing, and I'm firmly pressing that confusing button. I'm fully pressed down on the confusing button, but I'm not over to the panic button.
I'm not over to the. Wait, go ahead.
I'll switch over to the panic button after the All-Star break, maybe like a couple weeks after the All-Star. What's the All-Star break?
It's what?
February like 17th to the 21st.
February
or no.
17th. Shout out.
Yeah, it is the 13th to the 19th. So after that week, we play the Sixers, the Knicks, the Raptors, Pistons, Cavs. So there's a lot of wins in there. I mean, come on. I'm pressing the panic button after the All-Star break. I'm not pressing it right now.
The February 17th panic button date. Okay. Is that one? It's going to be near that date, right? But
No,
yeah,
I'm not going to press it.
I'm not gonna press the panic button right now because it's still January and there's still a lot of basketball to be played. Sure, that is a fact. We saw the 21-22 Celtics. Even at this point in January, they were kind of still fumbling around with the bag. I know that the rock bottom point in that season was really the New York Knicks loss, and we just released an archive clip from that post game earlier today. But even late January, remember that game against the Blazers. The Blazers. The Blazers also, NSFW, not safe for work in that one. There's a lot of frustration going around in that clip. But we were still fumbling around the bag at that point in the season, late in January, because if anybody remembers that Trailblazers game late in January where the Celtics went up by, I believe it was 19 points, if I'm not mistaken, and then just blew it to the Trailblazers, who were just a lesser team at the time, and Yusuf Nurkic was piecing up the Celtics, and just terrible memories. Loss. Terrible memories of the Boston Celtics. But they came out and made it to the finals, nearly won the finals that season. We're up 2-1 in the finals after being 500 in January, so there's still a lot of time to turn this around, no doubt. That's why I'm not going to hit the panic button, because we've been here before with other Celtics teams where January it doesn't look all that great, and then by the time March, April, May, that time period rolls around, looks a lot better. I do want to press the concern button, though. Maybe it's the same as the confusing button.
No,
right?
No. You got your own table of buttons, man. We all have.
I don't know. I can press both of them. Confused, concerned. I'm definitely confused. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also a little concerned. I know I'm confused and concerned. That's where I'm at right now with this Boston Celtics team, because concerned for me is this team is the exact same as last season. We saw last season that team, the 23-24 Celtics, go on a historic run throughout the entirety of the regular season into the playoffs, all the way to the end of the finals. Did not play a series past 5 games last year, went 80-21. That's a top 10 record in NBA history by win percentage. They come out this year with literally the exact same team. You want to say, oh, minus O'Shea Brissett giving that much energy off the bench that the Celtics just vastly need him from the Long Island Nets right now. They do have an open roster spot. I will say that as well. Svi Mykhailiuk as well. They replace those guys with Baylor Shireman, who was out there. They've been out there the last 3 games, actually. Baylor Shireman starting to get a little bit of a run with the Celtics. Hasn't really done anything with the team, which, of course, goes to your point earlier this season about Baylor Shireman. Have a video out on that as well against the Heat.
My opinion's changed
that
on
game.
him.
Oh, we'll have to get to
I'm
that.
high
But
on him. I'm high
but
on him.
but in terms of just being concerned, the reason I'm concerned is this is the exact same team. They don't look anywhere near the exact same as they did last year on either end of the floor. And I know it's January, but at the same time, I go back on the point. Now, this point supported the fact of why they were playing terribly in January, earlier in January, that they played a lot of basketball in recent years. The core of the team has played a lot of basketball in recent years. Brown, Tatum, White, Horford, specifically those four, and then Holiday's older. He's played a lot of basketball, of course, with the Milwaukee Bucks before getting to the Boston Celtics. And then Porzingis, you can't really say too much about his playoff resume before the Celtics, maybe a couple here and there with the Mavericks, although they didn't go on any deep runs. But even himself, he came back from surgery. He's very injury prone. He's come back from multiple surgeries in his career. And I almost wonder, is this team a little tired right now? Are they a little tired at this point in the season? Are they really
That's
getting up for these
understandable.
games?
Yeah.
But my thing is, it's understandable at this point in the season that they would be tired, and you'd sit back and say, okay, well, that could be a silver lining, that maybe they just don't want to quite give their all for these January games. But at the same time, if they're tired, are they going to be able to gain it back? Are they going to be able to gain back
Right.
that steam, that wind under them to actually go out and make a run once the playoffs come around? Because you still have 3 more months until playoff basketball. And if they're tired now, I mean, maybe they're tired and giving less effort, and that'll fulfill the tank for later. But it also could mean that they're tired now, and when is the moment in which they're going to gain it back miraculously? And that could go to Ian's point of, they need the All-Star break. But at the same time, a week and a half of basketball off, is that going to do it for this Boston Celtics team? They come back from a week off and go, there, we just miraculously know how to play again. I mean, right now we are struggling with inconsistency. It seems like that 1 week would do great for maybe 2 games, and then would we just be back right in the same position again? And I just wonder if this team, not that they're broken down, but it's like, are their tanks running a little bit low from recent years, and will they ever be able to regain a full tank before going back into the playoffs and playing against other young squads who undoubtedly want to take that spot on the mantle from the Boston Celtics and place themselves, whether it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, whether it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, of course, want to get back up there and win the championship again if we were to make it to the finals. Not just the Eastern Conference, but it's also who we would face out of the West potentially. But even in the East, the New York Knicks as well, the Bucks. I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about the Bucks, but in the series, again, we talked about this earlier in the season. If we were to play a series against the Milwaukee Bucks, unfortunately, we don't exactly have the best player in that series. It's going to be Giannis, who's that best player, and Tatum could challenge him for that best player in the series, no doubt, once that time comes around. But looking at it now, it's the Detroit Pistons just had to put up this comment. I mean, even the Pistons, they're young, they're fun, they run. I mean, there are a lot of young teams out there, energetic teams that would love to compete with the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. Even if they thought, we might get beat by the Boston Celtics, this would be a great experience for us. And hey, if we win, we knock off the defending champions and all. And this is where the pressure comes into play. You're the defending champions, you're the Boston Celtics. You're expected to win a series, say, against the Detroit Pistons, whereas the Pistons, they're not expected to win at all. They're just happy they made the playoffs. And nothing to lose, playing with house money. That starts to get a little dangerous, as we saw last night against the Los Angeles Clippers. The Celtics came in, expected to win that game, and the Clippers, all their players went, oh, great, I get to play with an opportunity tonight. We're not even expected to win this game, and I get to play more minutes. I get to prove myself in the NBA. I'm excited to play this game. Well, are the Celtics in the playoffs, are they going to be like, I could see this perspective. In the playoffs with the Celtics at some point in time, if they're down 0-1 in a series, down 2-1 in a series, going into a crucial game 4, say they are down 2-1, are the Celtics going to go, man, we're tired right now, we're really close to the end of the season? Or are they going to go, no, we got to pick this up. We're going back to back. We are the defending champions. We're going to bring our A game. That's where I'm raising the concerns right now. If the team is, if the tiredness is something that's really affecting this team, I do wonder if it could actually play a factor later rather than, against the Sacramento Kings. I was saying, okay, the team isn't going to play as hard at this point in the year, but it's going to be fresh later on. But then I also question, is that freshness ever actually going to come around? So that's why I'm a little concerned right now with this Boston Celtics squad, because we have really not seen anything since really November when it comes to this team putting up consistent wins,
Right.
consistent. We haven't seen a 3-game winning streak since the beginning of December.
Oh, man.
Of December, I believe it was the Heat, it was the Pistons, and it was
The
another
Wizards.
team, the Wizards. I mean, those teams are falling apart. I shouldn't say the Pistons aren't falling apart, but the Heat are falling apart, and the Wizards as well. The Pistons, they were lesser at that point in the season. We'll say that they weren't as good as they've been in January, in December. But those three teams were all teams, and the Celtics whooped the Pistons. I mean, outside of that first matchup in Detroit, they whooped them in December. But that 3-game winning streak, it's not like the most impressive winning streak in the world. You beat the Heat, who in the Wizards, who are falling apart at this point in time.
Heat
And
stink.
and I mean, the Celtics, this is where I'm just concerned, is you haven't seen anything out of this team in really 2 months that suggests that we're that team to go back to back. The only thing that suggests we're that team is what happened last season, or what happened in October and November. And we're past that point. We're 2 months past that point. At some point, you have to be putting up consistent wins. You have to win. But everybody thinks, oh, we're going to blow through the first round. Oh, we'll go through in 5 games or 4 games. Well, how are you going to go through in 4 or 5 games when you can't even win 3 straight games? I mean, for real, the Celtics, it took them. Tonight was the opportunity to win 3 straight games. They squander it. Actually, I should say, I was wrong on that stat. We won 3 straight games: Toronto, Houston, Minnesota. That, well, 3 straight wins right there. But that was the last time we won back-to-back wins.
That was
Before
recent.
that was the beginning of January. Okay. So let's revise that statement a bit. Just realize that. But then before that, it was beginning of December. So you have beginning of the December month. Go a whole month without 3 straight wins, do it again in the beginning of January, and now we're on to a whole nother month without 3 straight wins. So the point kind of remains that this team hasn't shown anything in really 2 months that suggests this is the team to go back to back, and they're this ultimate world beater team. They've been inconsistent for 2 months, and that's where I'm very highly concerned right now about the Boston Celtics, despite there being a lot more months to play in terms of basketball, because even with 3 months left to play, we haven't seen anything in 2 months. So who's to say the next 2 months are going to be anything special that we think they're supposed to be for this team, that they're going to turn it around?
Yes.
And everybody kind of thinks that. Like, even the national media is making excuses for them because they're the defending champions. But at the same time, basketball, we do this a lot. And I forgot who. Oh, it was Eric Spoelstra. He was talking about it on not inside the NBA, but their pregame show earlier. And he was really at a press conference, and he said, well, it's like, this is the world. And he was talking about the Jimmy Butler situation. So it's unrelated to the Celtics. But he was talking about, this is the world of the NBA. This is what we all signed up for. If you think it's going to be predictable, it's often not. And that's what it feels like everybody with the Celtics, where they're at right now, is they're thinking, Celtics, they were the defending champions last year. They were awesome last year. It's the same team this year. They'll be fine. But then often in basketball, we see those results. They never quite turn out the way that we always expect. Oh, this team's going to be fine. Oh, this team's going to be terrible. Well, guess what? Everybody thought the Pistons were going to be terrible this year. I will say, I had them in a playing game this year. I said that. I said I had them 10th. You can go look at my rankings. They're on my page. I had them 10th, straight up. I didn't think they'd be 6th, but I thought they'd be 10th.
I had them 7th.
Everybody but us thought the Pistons would be below the play-in this year. That is a true statement.
You're hopping on the Pistons bandwagon with me.
Well, no, I'm 2018-19 Pistons squad with Blake, always holding a special place in my heart.
Why'd you have to say that? I was the biggest. I wanted Andre Drummond on my team so bad in that 2016 deadline. Oh, it was like him, Jimmy Butler, Paul George. There was all talks about them coming to Beantown.
Don't forget about the old Pistons with Greg Monroe and Brandon Knight and Contavious Caldwell Pope as well.
Tayshaun Prince.
Oh, yeah. Tayshaun Prince, Celtic for 1 game, I believe. Well, 1 game. I think
Clippers.
1 game.
Clippers.
And 2018-19 Clippers, special squad
Pistons
as well.
Talk Weekly. Pistons are a winning franchise right now. Celtics are just playing piss poor basketball. So,
but to the point of that, real quick, to round out that point, A lot of people thought the Pistons would be in the Hornets category this year, and we've still, I mean, on this program, we've had people disrespect the Detroit Pistons many of times, going, "Oh, well, the Pistons, what?" Well, the Pistons, they're potentially going to be in a playoff spot. Forget a play-in spot; they could be in a playoff spot this year. And it goes to the point of the Celtics of, yeah, everybody thinks they're going to be fine, but at what point do we actually raise concerns about this team? I think there are some concerns on some levels from some people about this team, but you got to see it. To me, I'm waiting for the data. I'm waiting to look at the data sheet to go, "Oh, okay, I'm seeing it right now." Right now, I'm not seeing it. There are a lot of people who are just suggesting things are going to happen without data in front of them, and that's where I'm not at right now. I'm going, I haven't seen it in 2 months. I need to see it.
Right.
I really need to see it. I'm believing in the past just like everybody else, but I still need to see what's going to come in the future by what's happening in the present. And what's happening in the present is we're a 500 basketball team. That's what the Celtics are right now.
Yeah. Right. I
mean,
mean,
there's no other way to say
it. And what frustrates me is every post-game press conference, they're all talking about like effort and stuff like that. It's like the players. It's like, then if you're saying you know what the issue is, why isn't anything changing? Seamus, why have I not seen consistent basketball since November? Where is it? Where is it? They sound like they have all the answers. I'm not seeing any answers. Or if I'm seeing answers, I'm seeing them very inconsistently. One night we look like a finals team. The next night we look like a play-in team. Like tonight, it's confusing. And your hands on the concern button, my hands on the confused button. Could be similar buttons, but not on the panic button yet. But
no, definitely not on the panic button.
Also on the I have 4 buttons also. Annoyed button. You also have an annoyed button, and that's what we are right now. We're not mad. We're not mad. We're not mad. I'm not mad, at least. It's just like I'm more annoyed than I'm mad. It's like when you did something wrong and your parents say, "I'm annoyed with you," or "I'm disappointed with you." And then you're like, "Oh, like, can't you just be pissed at me? Can't you just like yell at me? Can't you just," that's where I'm at with this Celtics team right now. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. And I'm, you had the concern button. What did I have?
You had the confused button. You had the guarantee
confused,
button.
That's what it is. The confused. I have too many damn buttons. Stop pressing my buttons, Celtics. Put together a solid stretch of basketball. I don't need to see you go out there and blow out teams by 50. That's not what I mean at all. So obviously it's nice to beat the Orlando Magic by 27 and beat the Golden State Warriors by 40 points. But we need to see a consistent, solid stretch of basketball being played in a row. We need to. It can't be this every other game crap. It can't be this, oh, we squeaked by with the win, but we turned the ball over 6 times in the last minute and a half. Like it can't be like that. We need to see the execution. We need to see the consistency. And I get it. The health has not been on your side this year at all. But at the same time, up and down this roster, you have one of the best, if not the best rosters in the association. Get through the dog days of the NBA regular season and get to the playoffs. But you have to focus on the task at hand. And right now, that's getting through the course of an 82-game season. Everybody's like, oh, maybe they're just getting ready for the playoffs and they just want to get to the playoffs. It's like you have to go through an 82-game gauntlet before you get to the postseason. And if you can't survive that 82-game gauntlet, you're not going to survive the postseason. So Celtics really need to lock in, dial in. I get it. We're a few weeks away from the All-Star break. We're over halfway. We're over the halfway mark of the season. Typically, we say after the All-Star break is the second half of the season. But in reality, after March, we only have like 5 games in April before the regular season. So you really only have March after the All-Star break. Celtics, I need to see some consistent basketball coming up here, starting in Dallas, a finals rematch, which probably not going to feel like a finals rematch because there's going to be no Luka, no Lively. Derek Jones Jr. is on the Clippers, and Klay Thompson is out with an ankle injury, and Kyrie Irving probably doesn't want to see the Celtics ever again. So I don't know how much you can say it's a finals rematch.
Well, first of all, let's look at this. This cannot happen in
Oh,
Dallas
I
either. Wanted to
forgot
bring
about
this up,
this.
but
Oh,
we didn't bring this up yet, and we still have to bring up player spotlight real
we had
quick.
a
I will
lead.
say. I know, right? We had one lead in this game in the first quarter.
We
Can you
blew
believe
it.
it? One point lead. We blew the lead in this game, but 28 points. That's the biggest lead of the season for the Los Angeles Lakers. That is the biggest deficit of the season for the Boston Celtics. Now, we don't have to keep this on screen too long. This is what we want to see from the Boston Celtics. Instead, we saw it from the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. Just had to show that lead tracker. We didn't show it earlier. It was kind of we didn't need to see it, but
I mean,
might as well. We had it queued up. We might as well
go
show it to everybody,
you
of
go
course.
you go back to that stretch in the third quarter where the Celtics cut a 21-point lead down to, I believe it was 10, and they get to the free throw line and they miss 2 free throws, and then the Lakers went on this. They went on this scoreless stint. I don't know how long it was for. It had to be over 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, the Celtics were really locking in defensively. Lakers were missing shots. You figure, okay, they're shooting, came back down to earth. Jalen Brown gets to the free throw line, goes over 2. To me, that is really where this game took a huge turn for the worse, because it's like, okay, the Celtics kind of hanging around. It was, 10, 14 points after you cut it down to 21. And once they didn't get it down to single digits, that's when I knew, like, it's just not going to happen tonight. If there was a turning point in that game, it would have been right there, and the Celtics blew that opportunity, and the Lakers turned all of a sudden a 10-point game very, very, very quickly into a 21-point win. And at one point, you saw on the lead tracker almost a 30-point lead.
Yeah, I mean, that point in the game, we could have cut it to 8, and we
Yeah.
missed 4 straight free throws. And after that point, it was right back up to 18. And when they went to timeout, after it was back up to 18, you just knew it was done. It was
Right.
done. We had our moment. We had the moment in which we could have actually came back
Tatum
in the
hit
game.
back-to-back threes, and it was just,
That was it. That was it. And really, it was over for most of the night, but that was the one particular moment where it was like, oh, the window of opportunity is opening right now. And the Celtics, they just hit the wall instead of the window. But
the window just closed completely. Fingers caught underneath it.
I mean, no, the
that's what it
fingers
was.
weren't even under. I mean, the Celtics, they weren't even creeping under the window. I mean, they saw it open and they went. I mean, this is where they leapt towards the window and hit the wall. That's what I'm saying. Like they absolutely they
bird
didn't even
flying
come
into
close
the-
to the window. I mean, it was
That's
that
funny.
bad, but ultimately, we don't want to spotlight one player here real quick tonight. It's really hard to talk
Yeah.
about a player spotlight on a night like tonight, but of course, when we have it at the top of the screen here, and well, I guess I'm on this side, so top of the screen here, I guess both sides, whatever. But when you have a player at the top of the screen, you got to talk about him. That was Kristaps Porzingis tonight. He came out and was one of the only Celtics playing well early on in this game. Of course, player spotlight presented by SeatGeek. Of course, go to the code. I'm pretty sure it's not in our description, but you see the code at the
Celtics
bottom
Weekly,
of the
yep.
screen. Yeah, you see it at the bottom of the screen right here. Use code Celtics Weekly at checkout for 20% off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Guys, go visit SeatGeek. They have all of the best options for seats in the game. But we're talking about Kristaps Porzingis tonight, really one of the only Celtics playing well and played well early on. 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 9 of 16 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3. Unfortunately, Kristaps' efforts didn't really mean much to the Boston Celtics tonight, but you could tell this is really where the Celtics want to start really taking advantage of more mismatches with Kristaps Porzingis. We saw it early on in the game. Kristaps Porzingis, he was one of the only Celtics really playing aggressively out there. And when the Celtics were going to him, they were really hounding on Jason Tatum, the Lakers were, and it was really forcing him to pass out of that situation and go to Kristaps or even Jaylen Brown. And from that, Kristaps Porzingis was really taking advantage of some of those mismatches inside the paint, whether it's we talked about recently too. Kristaps, he can either score over anybody he wants to because he's 7'3" and there aren't too many 7'3" guys who litter the NBA landscape, or somebody comes down, doubles Kristaps on the mismatch, and then all of a sudden you have opportunities laced all over the place on the perimeter for Kristaps to go out there and make the correct decision. And even too with this pick and pop game, Kristaps Porzingis never afraid. We know Kristaps Porzingis is never afraid to take a 3-point shot. Sometimes been a little bit too haphazardous in his 3-point attempts this year, but tonight 9 of 16 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, took 11 shots from inside the paint. Was really good early on, but really throughout the game kind of faded away along with the rest of the Celtics team. But Justin, what did you like out of Kristaps tonight for that little period in which the Celtics, they say we saw they had the lead there on the lead tracker.
Yeah, and the lead was because of Kristaps Porzingis and his running partner, Jaylen Brown, cookies and cream. Those were the only two who got going early on for the Boston Celtics. I think they had 13 of Boston's first 20 points. Celtics really struggled offensively outside of Kristaps early on and kind of gave the Celtics, he was kind of Boston's only spark of energy early on. Obviously, I mentioned Jaylen Brown was in there, but Kristaps was really, really solid tonight. Hit some shots in the second half to open up the half, and you're that's also kind of the moment where you're like, ooh, do we have something here? So credit to KP tonight. He had last night off battling an illness. Looked very, very good tonight.
Illness on the first night of a back-to-back. I mean, see, this should be offensive to yourself because you actually have an illness right now. And
yeah, but I was
Kristaps
also out
Porzingis.
last night. I was also out last night with but I actually have an illness. I don't know what he had, and he was sitting on the bench. So what kind of illness do you have?
That's what I'm saying. There's no load management. It's called illness. It's called soreness. That's what they call load management nowadays.
Why would they label it illness? Why wouldn't they just label it like left foot rehab or whatever?
Because I don't know. You can. For me personally, it's like some of these other injuries you probably have to prove a little bit more. But if you come in and say, "Oh, my stomach right now," or like, because even the nasally
why would you sit
stuff,
on the bench? That's what I'm saying.
Stuff. See, but that's where it's like it's fake. It's a fake illness. I mean, that's what it is. Illness. I mean, if you really looked at all the illnesses in the NBA for every single player across the board who misses games, you'd think that the NBA just has an outbreak of COVID going on all over the place, an outbreak of illness. That's how often players are ill. But we all know these are just fake load management sayings.
I mean, whatever his injury was last night, I mean, he looked well rested tonight. And shout out to KP for coming ready. Also, high post. Chef's kiss. Stick him at the free throw line and just wait for the mismatch to come. And he just goes to work, and I love it. I love it. That play will get you. That play will win you so many championships if he could stay healthy. So that's what we really need to see going forward. Hit the high post. I do like the Celtics are attacking the paint early on as well, their offense. I do like the paint touches as of late, Seamus. They're not just jacking out there. We have seen the Celtics really attack the paint. We've seen the Celtics attack the paint. I like the paint touches. And if that creates an open look from 3-point range, those are the best type of threes to take when they're generated off of a paint touch. So credit to KP, man. He just placed the floor out really well. Really the ideal player to put next to a guy like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. We were excited when we brought him in, and we've gotten a lot out of him when we've been able to use him. So, since he's come back is really when the Celtics really kind of started to teeter, but I think that was just a coincidence. I think it was just freak timing and, people blaming Kristaps Porzingis. I don't get that. I don't get that whatsoever. And on top of that, say you do trade Kristaps Porzingis, who are you going to trade him for? Is that player going to give you not only a significant value back, but is he going to be able to produce on a level that's better than Kristaps Porzingis? Because I'm telling you, when you're trying to win a championship, you're going for players that are better than the players that you're dishing out. And I'm telling you right now, there's not many guys that are better than Kristaps Porzingis at his position and be able to do what he does. I'll tell you that right now. But player spotlight tonight presented by SeatGeek goes to Kristaps Porzingis. Another quick shout out to my flowers tonight, giving them the Jaden Springer tonight, presented by Bucket Squad. Get 10% off your merchandise if you use code Celtics Talk Weekly at checkout. Kristaps and Jaden Springer.
That's my mistake.
Oh yeah, but
Shout out to
Chris
Bucket
Apps
Squad.
Porzingis, yeah, shout out Bucket Squad, man. Rob's got a lot of their merch, but shout out Bucket Squad, shout out SeatGeek sponsoring us throughout the season. They've been terrific partners. But Chris Apps Porzingis and Jaden Springer tonight are your award winners, Seamus, and I mean, 21 point win, 22 points get you player spotlight, and 10 points off the bench in 8 minutes gets you your flowers. Probably not winning in the best, probably not your best game, and probably a game that you definitely didn't win.
What'd you say? A smile gets you too? Didn't you say this on another post game? Something about smile and charm.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Last night, Jaden Springer.
Yeah, look at that. Oh man, remember I said that? I said I need a Jaden Springer dagger, and what did he do? Ask and I shall receive. Look at this. Leave it. Look at. What are you looking at, Jay Larinaga? I bet you still wish you were coaching over here. What are you looking at, Jeff Van Gundy? I bet you were still eating donuts in our break room. Game winner. That was a game winner. That was a clincher. I think that put us up 5.
Yeah. Yep. This was at the end of the game. Look back to the
Nick
bench.
Batum.
Best feeling in basketball. Gave him that smile too afterwards. Yeah, that's right. I just hit that. Of course, I just hit that.
In the road whites. We love it.
One of the best uniform matchups of the entire season. But we will see a familiar uniform matchup on Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks in a finals rematch in Dallas to round out the West Coast road trip. The Celtics looking to round out the West Coast road trip with a 3-1 record with a win over the Dallas Mavericks. And of course, to rebound from tonight's awful performance in Los Angeles. Now, the Mavericks, you already mentioned, without several key players in this particular game. But Justin, what do the Celtics have to do in order to go out there against the Dallas Mavericks, rebound from this Lakers loss, and of course, put another loss on the Dallas Mavericks, which we know how to do lately from last year in the NBA Finals?
I need the Celtics to go out there and I need them to play this game with energy. And again, I'm not all about these 50-point wins. That's a luxury. When you're able to win by 20-plus points, it's hard. It's hard to win in the NBA. Obviously, I don't know from experience, but it's just kind of common sense. It's hard to win in the NBA. It's really hard to blow teams out in the NBA. And the Celtics were doing that at a consistent level last year, which is a pretty hard thing to maintain. I think despite the roster that we had last year, it was pretty surprising. The Celtics had 3 50-plus point wins last year in one season. So I'm not looking for the Celtics team to go out there and blow out the underman Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, that'd be the cherry on top. That'd be sweet. But I'm looking for the Celtics to go out there for 48 minutes and execute and play their brand, their true brand of basketball that we know that they're capable of playing. We know they're more than capable enough playing, and we know they're capable of playing that high-level basketball against a specific team. Yes, they will be missing players, but this is still the team that took you 5 games in the NBA Finals last year. This is still the team who beat you in Dallas. They gave you their one loss, and I'll tell you, that wasn't like a, ooh, we lost at the buzzer. That wasn't a, ooh, well, it just wasn't our game. No. The starters sat like the entire second half. We lost that game by like 40. It was like 120 something to 80. And it was ridiculous. I mean, kind of probably just you're up 3-0, wanted to win it in Boston. But at the same time, last time you were in this building, you got worked in the finals. So also, not only that, I want to see 48 minutes of really solid execution. If you don't get energy early on, Coach Joe Mazzulla, please don't forget that you have 10 other players sitting on your bench other than the 5 that are out there. Don't be afraid to say, hey, Jaden, let's get some early minutes. Hey, Baylor, Sam's not shooting the ball well. Maybe you go in there, see if you can get some looks. Hey, Jordan, Jaylen Brown's struggling tonight. Why don't you go out there and you can be that slasher? Tillman, get me another Gatorade. You're not getting in tonight. Like, Tillman hasn't played. Tillman didn't play tonight. I mean, come on.
I don't know what's going on with that.
I don't know what's going on with X. But really, in all seriousness, I would love, and we talked about it earlier on in this show, where tonight the Celtics were running in the mud, and it was surprising how Joe didn't go to his bench, deeper into his bench rather, and make those adjustments like you saw last night when the Celtics were running in the mud and really didn't have anything going for them. They went to Jaden Springer. He comes in, provides a spark of energy, and the Celtics walk away with the win tonight. What happens? You inserted that bench group too late. They made a little run towards the end, but it was too little too late, and the Celtics got blown out. So I love to see the Celtics go out there, execute for 48 minutes, and maybe even dig deep into your bench. I'd love to see Springer get some consistent minutes. If you were going to give Drew Peterson those consistent minutes earlier in the season for at least 3 to 4 games, I think it's only fair you give him the Jaden Springer as well.
Yeah, in this Mavericks game, really the Celtics, it's like a broken record trying to say this, but just add that building block. You got to add that building block. You got to go out there and rebound from this terrible loss in Los Angeles and finish out the West Coast road trip at least 3-1. That's a little bit of a point of optimism here that we can take with us. If, of course, the Celtics go and do that and head back to Boston with a 3-1 record on the West Coast road trip, you just want to be building those blocks up and up and up. We have not been able to do that really at all lately, but one day we're really hoping that the first one will be set in place, and that will be the first one to building up into a championship. Right now, the Celtics have just not been able to do that at all, and I really agree with all your points on needing to come out with energy. And of course, if the Celtics don't come out with energy, something has to change. And of course, too, we see even in matchups against teams who do not have all their star players or all their key contributors, we just saw last night against the Los Angeles Clippers, there are going to be quite a few players who are looking at that opportunity and going, I'm coming here to get a good run in. I'm coming here to prove myself. And they're going to be playing a lot more free than we're typically used to seeing them play in a normal team setting with all the star players still out there. So the Celtics, they certainly have to be ready for the matchup on Sunday against Dallas, because this will be another one.
Actually,
it's on ABC.
It's tomorrow.
It's Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. It's a Saturday showcase game. Odd.
Yeah.
We're doing Saturday showcases now. It's January, folks. Football season's almost over. Saturday showcase. Okay, Saturday. Forget the Sunday nonsense. This game is on Saturday. Regardless, this game is over the weekend for the Boston Celtics, and it'll be a game on ABC, and it's a game that everybody will be watching. It's a marquee matchup, even if Luka's out and everybody's out, Lively, Klay Thompson. And from this, it's going to be a finals rematch. Everybody's going to have their eyes on it. The Celtics can't go out there again and drop another dud in the middle of a Saturday game on ABC. That'll just not be something that we want to see whatsoever. Not anything the rest of the nation or Celtics Nation wants to see. So the Celtics, I mean, they just have to play well. We just want to see them play well. We're done with the nitty gritty in terms of, they need to do this. They need just play well. The whole they need to come out and play with energy and play well early in the game and throughout a game. They just haven't been able to do that lately, whether it was against, they did against the Golden State Warriors and the Orlando Magic, but we want to see it every single night. And that's what's frustrating about this team, is we see those spurts, but they don't last forever. But Saturday, not Sunday, the Boston Celtics will be back in action against the Dallas Mavericks in an NBA Finals rematch. The Boston Celtics will be looking to rebound from this horrendous performance against the Los Angeles Lakers. And of course, we will have you covered here on the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show immediately after the final buzzer. Come over to our YouTube and hit that live video, that Dallas Mavericks and Boston Celtics thumbnail. We will be on here with our beautiful faces, of course, presenting the post-game analysis to that game. And don't forget the YouTube channel. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, do all the great stuff. Turn on post notifications. How about that? Do that as well. Don't forget to do that to the YouTube channel if you want more good Celtics content. We have clips coming out all the time. And don't forget to follow our socials either. Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff. We have you covered all 24/7 with the Boston Celtics. Good or bad, we've been here since 2020, 2021. Even us on Instagram, even longer than that. At 2016, 2015, we've been around here. So we will have you guys, of course. This is the Celtics OG post-game show. That's what it is here.
Wait, before you close out, speaking of OG, I want to mention something. We spent the last hour and a half talking about Jaden Springer. I want to make the comparison. Jaden Springer, Avery Bradley. Do we see it? Do we see it?
1,000%. It's on the breakdown. The breakdown's already filmed. I just haven't released it yet. I literally say at the end of the breakdown, this is looking like some Avery Bradley stuff in the 2010s.
This is young Avery Bradley, because Avery Bradley turned out to be quite the 3-point and mid-range shooter. He did not
Nearly
have
an all-star
that
level player near the end of his Celtics career.
He did not have that in his arsenal coming into the league in his early days in the league. He was mainly a defensive specialist, and then obviously as his game, his game progressed in the way the league was going, that 3-point shot was added, that mid-range shot was added, and he was just spectacular. And Jaden Springer, and we talk about it all the time in the group chat with Jaden Springer, if he could continue to play this style of defense, those 3-point shots that he's been knocking down, which really isn't his cup of tea, that's just the cherry on top. That's the icing on top. That's when he's coming into the game to play defense and lock down the perimeter. He's not coming into the game to knock down 3-point shots. Obviously, that's helpful, that's useful, but that's not what he's in the game for. So when he's able to do both at the same time, that's winning basketball, and that's going to win you a lot of games. So when I watched him, I was like, man, this is Avery Bradley. This is like a spitting image of Avery Bradley. It really is. I'm glad you agree with me. I didn't see the breakdown. I'm gonna have to check it out.
No, it's not out yet. That's why we have it in our library. It's not out. Filmed it earlier this evening. So I was gonna post it during the game, but I never like to, I never like to like, oh, we have to edit all this stuff during the game. It's like, just focus on the game and then go ahead. That's why you're getting good analysis here.
We compare current Celtics to kind of former Celtics. Like we say Tillman's got this kind of this dash Al Horford, Kata at times with his athleticism and explosiveness around the rim. See a little bit of Robert Williams III in there, and then I really, though, out of all the players on this team, excuse me, I really see a lot of Avery Bradley in Jaden Springer, and I really hope Springer gets his opportunity here throughout the course of this regular season. And who knows? This could turn out to be an Avery Bradley type player where we are putting that question mark, raising the eyebrow. Is he an all-star? Is he an all-star? Jaden Springer, all-star? Clickbait? Not clickbait. Not clickbait. Jaden Springer, yeah. So I just wanted to throw that comparison out there. I'm glad you agree with that, because that was at the top of my mind. And you mentioned how we've been covering the Celtics on Instagram since 2016, and bring back that 2016 team. Avery Bradley was one of the best players on that team.
Number 0 before Jason Tatum. We remember the days of who wore 0 before Tatum, but Jaden Springer, I mean, yeah, I agree. He definitely looks like Avery Bradley. There's no way Jaden Springer doesn't practice defense when he's actually going out there and working on his game. You cannot be as good and sound mechanically and positionally as Jaden Springer is defensively and not practice your game. That's just what it is with Jaden Springer.
Avery Bradley, we always talk about the greatest mid-range shooters of all time, Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, talk about these mid-range shooters, DeMar DeRozan. Avery Bradley, the high pick and roll at the free throw line, gets a screen, comes off the screen, that jumper, that elbow jumper, automatic. He never missed a single. He was always just phenomenal there. That'd be a pretty good play to run. Maybe you try to run that with, like, Luke Cornett's a pretty good pick and roll guy. Run that with Luke, put Luke at the free throw line, set the screen.
Bringing back the Olynyk Bradley days, the AB and Olynyk pick and roll with Luke Cornett and Jaden Springer off the bench.
Yeah, you could. You absolutely. Brandon Bass, shout out mid-range shooters. Shout out Brandon Bass.
Tyler Zeller, of course. We could go on. We could go on for so long about old Celtics players, and specifically, it was not to go on another tangent here, but I was watching Celtics Spurs from like 2011, 2010 earlier. The amount of mid-range shots in that game was crazy. I mean, it was like, whoa, you never see this in basketball anymore. Never. You don't see that mid-range. It was some of the most inefficient shots in basketball. But Glenn Big Baby Davis, who's don't know if anybody saw that photo posted. I wish we had a slide for it, because that is one of the funniest NBA photos. I don't even know if it's an NBA photo. It's just a photo that includes a former basketball player, but it's one of the funniest photos you'll find of a former basketball player. But another mid-range merchant from the floor for sure. The Boston Celtics. Oh, the mic is gone.
How about now? Is it still muted? Is it better?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
I kid you not. The other day, I watched 35-minute compilation of Kevin Garnett mid-range highlights. 35-minute compilation. Kevin Garnett has the most satisfying mid-range jump shot. I always
right over the head.
I always used to wonder why he wouldn't just take one step back and shoot the three. And like, would that kill him? Like could he constantly?
This wasn't in the game back then.
No,
It didn't come to mind. Like, oh, maybe the 7-footer can just take a step back and do that from 5 more feet away, and it's worth another point.
I've been big on watching older games from like the late 2000s to like early 2010s with like those Ray Allen Celtics, Eddie House Celtics, Paul Pierce Celtics. We talk about Ray Allen being one of the shooters of all time. Think of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time in today's game, right? Like guys like Curry, Luka Doncic. These guys are taking 12, 13, 14, sometimes 15 times a game. These guys.
The mic. Oh.
Why does it keep going out? They weren't shooting that many threes. They were lucky if they shot 5 attempts in a game from distance. It just blows my mind how the game has evolved since we were kids. And here we are, we're friggin' in our 20s talking like crazy, but like it's true. The game has truly evolved since we were children. And it's,
even in
it's pretty insane.
2017, it was completely different than now. But we will see the difference in the game of basketball on Sunday when we go up against the Dallas Mavericks, because I see a lot of 3-point attempts coming in that game from either squad. I believe both of those teams like to shoot the 3 ball. So that'll be a good matchup to really see how the game has evolved. We saw it against the Golden State, where we see it every single game out there. No team plays. They all have access to data that shows, hello, do not take these long 2s anymore. You want to be taking, if anything, not saying take long 3s, but long 3s are more efficient than long 2s, as we all know, in terms of points per shot, points per possession. But we will see that all on Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks. The Celtics traveled down to Dallas for their last game of the West Coast road trip. We will have you guys covered here on the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I'm going to do the point here alongside me. That's Justin over here pointing the right. What?
No.
Am I being pranked right now?
No, the other way. That way.
Oh, right here? Right here?
No.
Yeah. What?
No, that way. Yes.
This way?
No.
Really?
Yes, that way. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, you're
we gotta
pointing
stop
to me,
doing this
right?
pointing thing. Yeah.
Are you trying to point to me? Yeah,
Yeah.
that way.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. This reflection stuff just blows my mind. I don't know. I can't get it right. I can't
All
get
right,
it right.
come on. We gotta
But
do
anyway.
this. We gotta do this fluently. So if we edit a clip or whatever, we gotta make it look smooth. So go ahead. Sign out.
But anyway, that does it for us here on the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I am your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me is Justin Lowe. Over here, we will have you guys covered on the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show on Sunday. No, not Sunday. On Saturday when the Celtics play the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe the game is canceled. We might play it on Sunday. There's been a lot of snow down south, but who knows? The Boston Celtics, they'll be playing there. Hopefully it won't be too cold in Dallas today. The Celtics roll through, but no matter what the weather is, we will have you here covered on the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me, Justin Lowe tonight. Thank you all for watching, and as I always say, go Celtics.